You know, they say in real estate, the fortune is in the follow-up. Well, that could not be more living proof than Katie Sentinella, who I interviewed that's part of Place at the Ben Kinney Team out of Bellingham, Washington. Katie goes on to tell me that her first 2 years in the business, she was a bartender. And by the way, she closes 45 to 50 homes a year, and she based all that on her follow-up strategy, which she goes through in this interview in depth. And I think you guys are going to really like it. And she also answers the age-old question, what do you do when somebody says the rates are too high? I think you're gonna love Katie's strategy. She is a great agent. So let's get right into the interview. All right, so I got Katie here. Katie, anytime I do a call with Bob from Brevity, he mentions your name, like anything and everything. It could be about like anything that you could ever imagine. And he'll mention your name. He always like acts like you're, says that you're like the go-to person when it comes to like calling and like working leads and all that. I mean, do you hear that a lot from other teams as well, probably?
Yeah, sometimes. I think I'm just a normal person sitting in the corner over here.
Yeah, I actually have. I've been there before, and you literally were in the corner of the office. It's not like they gave you like some really killer office spot yet or anything yet.
Definitely not. Just sitting out in the bullpen in the corner. But
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah.
around, so I can have this going on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good spot. And then you're on and so then you're on like Ben Kinney's like original team, right? In Bellingham.
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. So like how long have you been in real estate for?
I've been in for about 4.5 years.
4.5 years. Okay, cool. And then like what made you want to get into it?
I bought my first house pretty young, when I was 23, and I just saw what it did for me. And I didn't even know that you couldn't buy a house without 20% down for the
Uh,
longest time.
oh wow. So yeah, a lot of people think like everybody knows everything, but they don't.
Yeah, and it was always that myth. And I mean, I saw what it did for my future, and I want to help people buy it that they never thought they could. And so I
That's
think
awesome.
it's pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's obviously like the biggest purchase people make like in their life, obviously, most of the time, I would
Mhm.
I would assume. And so like you get into it, like did things take off right away for you? Did it take some time? Like what did that look like?
So it definitely took a lot of time. I didn't
Hmm.
make my first paycheck until I think I was at least 6 months in.
Yeah, okay.
And then my first consecutive year, I sold, I think, 25 transactions only for like 5 million. And
Yeah,
so,
because I mean, like you guys are in Bellingham. I've been there before. It's not that cheap, but Ben acts like it's like such the cheapest place in the world. But yeah, I got you.
yeah, so I sold 25 transactions for 5 million. And um, it just, I took anything that could walk. So
Right. Yeah.
I
So if
took
someone was like,
vacant
this is
land.
the $20,000 house, you like ran with it or land or whatever.
I ran with it. I ran with everything. I ended up getting a couple sales just from a vacant lot that I had out in Concrete, which is this really, really small town.
Right.
And it's, yeah, I've sold homes to people that were looking for, a cheap piece of dirt. And, and
Yeah.
it's just a
Right.
matter of
Yeah.
following
They're
up with
like,
them.
yeah, we get that out here. It's like, I'm looking for a hunting, like a place to put my tent when I hunt for like $5,000. And you want to help them, but you're also like, oh my God. So like, so
Yeah.
you said like 20 some homes, which is it was really great. Like, so your first consecutive year. So like, you were like, when did you start becoming like full time then?
So my first year I was still working another job. And so and then my second year I was still working another job. And the second year I sold 47 homes for
Wow.
about 15 million. So my price point went up. And then last year I decided in January to quit my second job. And then
I'm laughing
I
because a lot of
sold,
people would have quit that like a long time ago. Like the fact that you wrote it out that long is kind of funny. Yeah.
yeah,
So you did like, all right. So
because it
let's talk
was,
about that. That's insane, right? Like 47 deals your second year. Like, did you, because I know like, so a lot of people don't understand, like, Brivity or like Ben's team or team at place, like we have a ton of like old leads and our
Hmm.
databases. So like, were you jumping in there and calling them? Were you calling people you know? Like, who were you talking to?
So most of it's just the follow-up game. So past clients, referrals, and I mean mainly Brivity, cancel and expires, open houses. So I would throw everybody into Brivity and set them up on a task, which would help me remember to call them.
Right. Yeah. But like when you were first starting out and you didn't really like have past clients, like what did you like? Did you just kind of like call the company leads, hold open houses, do whatever?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
And then like no matter who they were, pretty much you would throw them into
Hmm.
Brevity or like whatever CRM, and then you would like follow up like religiously, I'm
Hmm.
assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the dialer was such a big game changer because it allowed me to call more people while I was working at my other job.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because we have a single line dialer built in there. Because I was in there today and I made 100 calls in like 45 minutes or
Hmm.
something, somewhere around there. So pretty much like if you met me right, and I was like, hey, I want to buy a piece of land, you would put me in Brivity, and then what? Like I would get like a follow up plan.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, and then like so. How often were you like? I guess a good big question would be how often did you have to follow up with somebody like typically before they had to buy a house or like meet with you? That because I know like even I get frustrated if it's like 3 attempts and then I don't hear from them.
It's definitely probably at least 10 attempts,
10 attempts. Okay.
if not more.
Right.
I
So like
mean,
from the
I've booked
first time
people.
you talk to me to like the time that you get me closed, it's probably
Hmm.
like over 10 times that you call me.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah. Which is crazy because I know like a lot of people get flustered when they don't hear from everybody, and then I feel like everyone's looking for like new leads when you have all these like gold mine dat leads already.
Hmm.
Did you like know a lot of people when you got into it?
Oh, no, nobody.
Okay, gotcha.
I think, that was kind of one of the big things is I just didn't have a huge sphere. And I mean, I knew a lot of people in the restaurant industry, but not a lot of people buying, selling, investing. And so it just took time to get that database up
Yeah.
and doing open houses, calling the people in the pond, and just really trying to dig deeper into the database.
Yeah, like when you so say like when you were starting out or even like now and say you
Mhm.
jumped into like a lead pond like and someone answers, what do you usually say it's like the first time that you've ever called? Like
So
what's your opening line, you think?
I usually jump into LP Mama. That's kind of my go-to.
Like location. So if someone's like
Uh-huh.
hello, then you're like, "Hey, this is Katie. Are you still looking for a home in Bellingham or something like that?"
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then you kind of get into the price, mortgage, everything
Mhm.
like the LP Mama.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I've been doing like a lot of role playing with my team, and I was kind of I almost wanted to throw up the other day because they were saying like they were like, and I was doing it, and I said, hey, yeah, the rates are too high, and they're like, yeah, they are. I'll talk to you later, and I was like, whoa, like what are you guys doing? Like there's different loan programs, like you got to like just slow down and like keep going through that LP Mama until you get to the end. Just like hear what they say, and then just keep going through it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because that it helps. And there is some lenders out there that can get you a better rate. I mean, I'm talking to one right now that can get me a 5.2.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had a guy that works for Amazon moved out here, and we got him down like 1%, like one,
Hmm.
not we got him like 1% what lower than what they are, and he got like a 6 or something, which is really good. And
Yeah,
a lot of people think it's like bad, but it actually is. It's like kind of like more of a normal rate. So
absolutely.
yeah, so like basically you would jump in, be in there, kind of like take anything and everything. You like kind of didn't judge anything, and then out of there you sold 45 houses for like 15 million. You said.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's gotta be a good feeling, right? And then from there, like so then once you close with somebody, would you like how often do you call them for there from there, like to get referrals or things like that?
Usually it's at least once a quarter.
Once a quarter?
Hmm.
Yeah, and then it's just kind of like a check-in.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I've gotten a lot of business that way too, with clients wanting to sell and buy, even though I've only been in it for 4 years.
Right, yeah. That's awesome. How many I guess the other question I'd have is if you were like I mean, I guess like if you were just like starting off fresh, like knowing what you know now and you said move to a new market, Like, what would you do differently?
I think I would take advantage of the database. I mean, even though if I move to a different market, just making sure that I put everyone into Brivity or into the CRM.
Right.
Because I know, with many transactions going on at the same time, it's hard to remember everyone and everything, and it helps you as your reminder. Hey,
Yeah.
I need to call them. And I mean, I guess that's something that I wish I would have done earlier on. And if I was to move to a different marketplace or center or a different area, that would be something that I would be wanting to do.
Yeah, I guess you'd probably too like want to join it. I mean, same for me, honestly. Like you probably want to join an established team that even like has a database of like leads that you could call, right?
Yeah, but even if you do circle prospecting or calling cancel and expireds, just trying to build your brand, it's just a matter of making sure that the follow-up's there.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Like how many calls do you think you make a day usually?
I mean, it depends on the day, but I try to make at least 100.
100? Okay, cool. And then like how many conversations usually come out of that, you think?
Usually 20 to 25.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I mean, it makes sense because you're calling like a lot of people are following. You're following up, so you're talking to a lot more people than if someone was like you said, circle
Mhm.
prospecting or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there like I guess another question would be so, and you said this year you've already done like 40 some like close and pending, which is crazy because this is like probably honestly I've been in this for 20 years. This is probably one of the toughest years I've seen.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tough year, but I mean, just I think going back to your motivation and your why and trying to help people. I mean, it's definitely been tough, but I mean, I think I've closed 42 so far, and
Awesome.
um, I have another like six pending right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all like so that's pretty much now you're just like coming with the effect of like people that you've been calling and now you're just like following up and nurturing on them. How many people do you
Hmm.
have like in you think like you have in your like database right now?
Um, I mean, maybe 2,000.
2000. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And then if I
maybe
were to go and
15.
if I was to like show up right now, which would be amazing because you guys are I'm in by Washington D.C. But if I was to show up, like you think would like all of them like how do you have it classified? Does like everyone have a follow up, or do you leave like unqualified with no follow up?
I leave unqualifieds with no follow-up, but everybody else has a follow-up.
Follow up. Okay, cool. Yeah, because like I'm kind of laughing because I feel like for you, like you're just like super consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no like, not that I expected you to say there was, but there's no like special thing you're doing or like some crazy like script that you have. I feel like you just show up and like you're super consistent. Does that sound about right?
I mean, I don't think I do anything special, but
I mean,
I don't.
I'm not trying to blow your ego up and say you're special. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, but I would say honestly, to be able to like show up and be consistent is like definitely key.
Yeah, I was at ninja class a couple days ago. This is completely off topic, but I was at ninja class a couple days ago with Tessa, who works at our office, and there was this obstacle I couldn't get over. And so I told the instructor, I'm like, I'm gonna stay until I can finish this obstacle. So I did it and fell a couple times. And then finally at the end, I'm like, yep, I told you I was gonna do it. And so
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah. It's
kind of
like this dude, Chet Holmes, I used to listen to, he passed away, but he says like pig headed discipline is usually like the secret to success. So
uh,
yeah, like just like doing something over and over again, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I think at the end of the day, like from what you're doing, like 42 deals, it sounds like so most of it's like your sphere, then maybe like a lead pond, and then
mhm,
like this, like you said, you don't really know anybody, so it's past clients, and
mhm.
then like people that you've met through open houses and all that. Do you prefer like listings over buyers or anything like that?
I like them both.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I feel like listings they sit on the market for quite a bit longer.
right.
I mean, it just depends on the situation, but I like
Yeah.
them both.
How's your how's the market out there for you guys? Has it been slower?
It's been a little slower. We've been getting a lot more contingent offers accepted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think 3 out of my transactions I have pending right now are contingent.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean that's kind of honestly it's like more of a normal market. That's like something that you would see in a normal market, which is 100%, how
hmm
it should be, not like no everybody waving under the sun. I guess like
hmm
if you're following up with me right now and I said, "Hey, the rates are too high." And then you figured out like I was a renter or something, like what would you say to that? Like, but we have good rapport or whatever. Would you just be like, I'll get back with you in the future? Like, how would you kind of combat that? Because I feel like that's what everyone, when I'm doing training, like that's what everyone like is like, everyone tells me the rates are too high.
I would just go back and say, what's important to you about the rate?
Mm-hmm.
And then they would say what's important to them about the rate. And most people talk about their payments. And then I would go back to them and say, if we could find a way that we found that perfect home and your payments made sense, would that be a benefit to you?
Right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's like, yeah, plus you're like trying to figure out their motivation, right? Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, well, I live with my mom in her basement and I've saved up,
Mm-hmm.
50 grand and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, then you're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to change your follow up from unless I'm like, oh, I'm a renting or I'm getting divorced and I got to find a place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that are renting, they never thought they could buy. And if
Right.
they could buy with the same amount that they're renting at, because our rents here are expensive.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so if we could find a way that could help you start building equity and start investing in your future, wouldn't that be a benefit?
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to like your original goal of, yeah, I want to help people buy a house. It's really exciting. Like I get to help them
Mhm.
out and all that. It's funny. Like I've often told this story a million times on my YouTube channel. I bought the
Mhm.
house that I'm in '08 and
Mhm.
it was like 6.5 or 7%. And
Mhm.
everyone was like, you're an idiot. Like, what were you think? What are you thinking? And then the house is like almost tripled in value.
Yeah.
And I've refied obviously since, and I'm like, man, back then, like no one was everyone was like telling me not to buy. So I guess like, what would
Mhm.
you tell if there was an agent like right now that was listening and they're like struggling, but and I'm sure they know deep down inside they're probably not like being consistent. Like, what would you say to them, like, to do?
I would just show them the different options. I mean, it's just a matter of getting creative. And if somebody's willing and able, then we have to help them come up with a solution.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And then I guess for you,
And
the solution would be, oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, there is some lenders that can do a lower rate. So maybe call around and figure out, a credit union that's offering a lower interest rate, or go over buy downs with your clients
Right.
and and just try to get creative. And I mean, you have those willing buyers, but you need to help find those able buyers as well
Right.
that
Yeah.
are able to qualify.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did a video for a builder.
Mhm.
The house was like 5 million bucks, and the guy told me he just figured out the owner of the company said took him forever, but he found a bank that would do a 3.5% rate on an arm with like 30% down. And
Mhm.
so I mean he did the same thing, right? Like he runs a big builder and he was like, I gotta find a way to make this work. I guess like
Mhm.
how would you tell them to find clients? Just kind of like calling through the team's leads, hitting the people they know, doing open houses, like the traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been pitching this lender that I found that does a 5.2 arm, and I mean 6.5% 30-year fix. And so I think just finding those great resources, but then also suggesting, a 3-2-1 buy down or a 2-1 buy down, and
Right.
just becoming more knowledgeable of
Yeah.
solutions for
Yeah,
them,
definitely.
trying to figure out where they want their payments to be. And
Yeah, just like asking the questions, right? Like
Mhm.
if someone says, well, I want it to be 1,000 a month and they're looking at $400,000 houses, like, okay, well, so do I. But if it's more like reasonable, right, then it's definitely good. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like just kind of talking to you, doing like 40 some deals a year, it sounds like it's just a lot of follow up for you. And then do you ever get like flustered and you're like, oh my God, like I'm sitting here following up every day, or do you like Do you get like excited about it?
I do. I mean it does get boring, don't get me
Yes.
wrong. But there is some interesting clients, and I try to get out of the office as well and meet with people, and I think
Yeah.
just the excitement of somebody moving into their new home is more exciting than sitting in the office, and those good times outweigh the follow-up, and
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's
100.
excited for you to call and
Yeah.
excited for you. It's the good feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love it. I mean, you're certainly doing well with it. So the clients must really like you. Well, I really appreciate it. This is really helpful because I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's kind of something that everyone needs to hear is it's, hey, the fortune's in the follow up, right? And it's,
Mm.
I mean, even though I think you're kind of like selling yourself short, but to be like in this market to sell, and trust me, like I know they're market guys. Like I've been friends with Ben for years. It's not like the greatest market ever. You know what I mean? Like it's not, how Austin, Texas was or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
your guys' market's been good. It's a good area, but it's not like popping or not like it's some special thing or something. I know that for sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's also being a problem solver too, is trying to
Yeah.
problem solve and figuring out the why.
Yeah, exactly. Once you talk to the people and you follow up and all that. But yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing is that you're saying like it takes like 10 calls before you like get someone converted or to an appointment. That just shows like how long you have to follow up. I guess one other final question, like what is there a certain time you call or you just do it like whenever it's best for you?
So I try to stick with lead gen and then any time in the afternoon that I have open as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. So like you start like maybe when you get into the office, it's the
Hmm.
most important thing, and then whatever you have free, then you just work on appointments and all that.
Yeah.
How long does it
And
usually take you to do those 100 calls? You think?
usually about 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you could like easily like do 100 calls in 20 minutes on a dialer if you're not talking to anybody. So like obviously you clearly are like following up. So
Yeah, I think a couple days ago I made 75 calls in an hour. So that was not very many people picking up.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean today I made like 125 and it only took me like 30 minutes and like no one was picking up. But then there's
Mhm.
days where I'm getting through like 10 people and it's like 30 minutes and I'm having all these like long conversations. Well, I
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, I mean it sounds like just kind of talking to you more, it's like you just got into it, like you never let off the gas with like the follow up, making all the calls. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to give up and I just keep trying to push forward.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, to do 40 some deals and you've only been in the business for 4 years, that's pretty incredible. And then to be bartending, you said you're bartending,
Yeah.
slinging drinks, which is like, I have a lot of friends that are bartenders. That's a tough job. Like you're working crazy hours and then to sell real
Mhm.
estate. And like everybody that's in the real estate or the restaurant industry is like, I'm going to get into real estate. And then they kind of like never move over. So that's cool that you were able to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't go back. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
no, I don't blame you. Yeah, that's tough work. That's a tough live. A lot of people that I know too were like bartenders aren't doing it anymore. So
It's hard on your feet.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep. I haven't done it, so I can only imagine. But cool. Well, I really appreciate it. This has been really helpful.
Yeah,
And then like
thank
if we
you.
got a referral for you, you're located in Bellingham, Washington, which is like literally the top left of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send them my way.
Yep. Well, definitely. I'll put your like description and the link below as always. I appreciate you, Katie.
Of course, thank you.